The Johnsky is a YouTube channel run by and run for people over the age of 13. People under the age of 13 should click off of this video right now, or watch with a parent or guardian. Viewer discretion is advised.
You don't scare me!
Milts is freaking the Namelessman. My name is King Prime. Welcome back to another video here on the YouTube channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at another relatively new Star Wars The Vintage Collection figure, that being the Star Wars The Vintage Collection Ahsoka Professor Huyang, or just Huyang. I have a lot of thoughts about this figure. We're going to get into them in a minute. Before we do, let's take a look at what Huyang comes in. Of course, at the top here, we have that nice blood red Ahsoka trade that we see with all these VC figures. There's a picture of Huyang looking very Huyang-y, robotic-y, contemplating the fact that he's Doctor Who, whatever. He has a blue nameplate for the blue pill that he comes on, as well as the counter trades. On the back here, we have a tiny little bio about Huyang with that old style vintage collection packaging. Of course, you'd also have the photo of Huyang himself up in the top left there, as well as some legal jargon, and that is about it. I say it in every single video, my friends, but you only really care about the packaging if you're a boxed or carded collector, of which I am not. I'm here to open and review toys, and that is just what I'm going to do. Freeze frame.
I understand.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
What? How can you do this? This is outrageous. How can you be on the council and not be a master?
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
Freeze frame on freeze, and here is Huyang out of packaging. But before we take a look at him, let's take a look at what he comes with. Starting off with the smaller stuff, he does, of course, just have a training saber. It is unlit. It is, it's a training saber, guys, I promise. Huyang can't really hold it because of the way his hands are shaped, but you can kind of fudge it just like that. There's no place to store it at all that I found. If you can find one, please let me know, because I haven't. And that is about it. Yippee. He also comes with a data pad, as he is seen with one pretty often in the show. As you can see, it is white and completely devoid of paint. That's a running theme with this figure. Huyang, of course, can also hold the data pad like so. And he can pretend to give a shit about Sabine Wren like that. That's enough of that. And now we get on to complaint number one. Huyang has a backpack here. As you can see on the backpack, there are some accessories. I'll pull that off. And you can see that there are these extra arms. I'll give you one guess what these are. Yeah, these are Huyang's arms, the extra arms that he has in the show and in the Clone Wars, if I can remember correctly. But for whatever reason, they didn't articulate them. They sculpted them individually as different pieces of plastic that you have to swap out. Last time I thought, at least, these weren't Hot Toys figures and we didn't have to do part swapping. We could just articulate the arms, but apparently not. You can just plug that in there, plug that in there, and there you go. There's Huyang's arms, and that's how they work. No articulation other than the ports which they plug in. Yay. Of course, like I said, they do articulate, so you can shove them over Huyang's shoulders if you want to. That's a thing you can do, but there's really no reason because they don't move on their own. Yay. In order to get these things to stay anywhere, obviously this puts me off, especially knowing that these joints are the exact same size as Battle Droid arms, which they've been doing. I mean, it's the same size as Huyang's own elbow, and they couldn't articulate it. I mean, seriously. You gotta be kidding. Yeah, let me just take this off for a little bit. Moving on to Huyang himself. Complaint number two. He is completely devoid of paint. Listen, let me just bring in the box 1 second longer. You tell me that these two robots are the same. One of them is a completely different color. This guy's silver. This guy's silver. This guy's tan. This guy's tan, and it's a dull tan, too. It's a flat tan with no shine to it at all. He's a completely flat shade of plastic. Yes, he has coloring on his eyes. Yes, he has coloring on his head. Yes, he has some shiny colors on his forehead, on his neck, and on his elbows and stuff like that. On his knees, his legs are perfectly shiny. They have metallic silver bits on the back of his thighs, on his shins, on his knees. It's great. But other than that, other than the underlying sculpting on his neck and on his stomach and on his body, and I'll admit, the sculpting is great for Huyang, this is a total cop-out. What? Why? None, even the dumb accessories don't have paint on them. They couldn't have, spent a cent to put some blue paint on the screen of the data pad, or just to make the training saber, an actual color of a training saber. What gives? I don't understand. Regardless, the articulation for Huyang is pretty good. It's probably this figure's saving grace. He has a dumbbell joint at the neck, so he can get that professorial action. It can go about that far out, all the way to the end limit of the joint and all the way around, which is very nice. No bicep swivel, but he does have a hinged elbow, which goes about 90 degrees and doubles as a swivel there. He does also have a wrist joint, and if you can believe it, this is the third review in a row in which there is no wrist articulation for this figure. Would it have killed them to just slot out 2 grooves there and put this peg on a hinge? I mean, really? Of course, it's not going to matter because Huyang barely has any accessories that matter and doesn't need to hold anything. But even if he wanted to, I mean, obviously he doesn't have a training saber to train anyone with. Whatever. He has a diaphragm joint so he can get his robot reps in, as well as a joint at the waist proper, which is a swivel, which is very nice. He has some faux leather, or otherwise known as soft plastic, at his little shop cloak there, revealing that he does actually have, and mind the angle here, ball jointed hips, which are very nice. Both of these have a thigh swivel as well as a knee bend, which can go a hair less than 90 degrees. As well as a down and an up joint at the ankle, as well as an ankle pivot. A very good ankle pivot at that. So overall, the articulation of Huyang is pretty alright, minus the wrists. Everything else, more to be desired. I'll say that much for sure. But that's enough belly aching for this segment. Let's move on to the size comparison. Freeze frame.
But I promise I won't fail again.
Freeze from Unfreeze. Here is Huyang next to our previous Vintage Collection review. Little Anakin. Here he is next to the golden standard of action figures himself, Dark Times Darth Vader. Here he is next to a equally skinny and bony figure, a Vitruvian Hex skeleton. And here he is next to a Mandalorian of my own design. As you can see, Huyang is quite the tall glass of motor oil. He is a tall lad. Of course, he is standing next to the traditional Jedi youngling and the enemy of the Jedi to his left. Never mind that. He's perfectly in scale, because if I remember, Huyang was a tall character in the media he appeared in both Ahsoka and Clone Wars. So that's perfectly accurate. The scale is great on this figure, and I have no complaints about that. Unfortunately, I have a lot of complaints about other things, so let's talk about that in my final thoughts. Freeze frame. Freeze from Unfreeze. So overall, this figure is a disappointment on almost all fronts. He has, in my opinion, not enough, and at the same time too many accessories, or accessories in the wrong place. He should not have swappable arms for his backpack. He should have articulated arms there. It's something that I know Hasbro can do. They can't pussy out of this one. We know that they're capable of it. We've seen it a million times, especially with this figure having joints the exact same size as the ones required for this operation on his body already. Makes no sense. The painting on this figure is abysmal. They have paint in the right places, yes, that's true, but that's not the point. The fact that they missed the entire torso of this figure for paint is abysmal. I mean, it's almost staggering that they could even think of something like that to do. The articulation of this figure is okay, but of course, those wrists, it's 2024. Why do we still have peg wrists with no hinges whatsoever, both in and out or up or down? It makes absolutely no sense to me. I understand that Huyang isn't the most popular character in the world, and I'm happy that we get a small side character like him in the line. However, they really fumbled at Hasbro with this figure. This thing is atrocious to the max. I've seen some very good customs of Huyang on various Facebook groups and stuff like that, and I plan at some point to follow up with those. However, there's something that's always going to be off about this figure for me. That is mostly because he lacks the engineering to be worth the now $16.99 that these VC figures retail for, which is a damn shame. But if you like Huyang, or you like Ahsoka, or you like the Clone Wars, or you like Star Wars in general, make sure you share this video with your friends, share it with Facebook groups, all that good stuff. If you like the content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. Keeps helping the channel grow, keeps helping me pump out this content. That's going to be pretty much it for this time, my friends. Thank you all so very much for watching, and as always, peace.